Right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Dysfunctional Fitness Podcast. You're joined today by myself, Matthew Hosking, and obviously Ben Bodycom. We are going to be breaking down 23.3. The opens come to an end. So we're going to be looking at just this past week's individual workout, and then we're going to look overall just at the whole open and check out the European and UK scene, see how everyone got on. But yeah, so we'll start with 23.3, Ben. Interesting workout, obviously. For those who don't know, it was the 2 rounds of the 5 wall walks, the 50 dubs, and then you had 15 snatches at light bar, and then the second round had 12 at a slightly heavier bar. And then if you finish that in under 6 minutes, you got a new window of 3 minutes to then complete 20 strict handstand push-ups, 50 dubs again, and then 9 snatches at a heavier weight. And then if you completed that under 9 minutes, then you got another 3-minute window to then complete the last bit, which is again 26 handstand push-ups, 50 double unders, and then 6 snatches at a heavier bar. Some very interesting scores. I think we'll get into it. But yeah, I don't know about you. I was quite surprised at some of the scores. I think in contrast to last week, where I thought a lot of the scores were quite ridiculous, almost unbelievable. I thought this week, well, I suppose this week they're also ridiculous and quite unbelievable, but maybe in the negative sense of I thought people were better than they actually were. Like the scores were shockingly not great. I'm very shocked at just where the cutoff points were. Like for example, the top 10% cutoff. Like I think it was only 1 snatch, if that, not even a snatch.
It was indeed one snatch.
Yeah, 1 snatch. So I don't know. Maybe that strict handstand push-up really messed with people. That standard maybe really messed with people, that new standard. Or maybe just the time cap, like with the forced time windows. But yeah, I was quite shocked at how many people seem to like struggle with it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I think we spoke about it before, about how you were going to have to race the first 6 minutes to get there. And I spoke to a couple of guys at the gym about it and sort of said, like, look, like your workout is this first 6 minutes. You have to get through that and you have to push the pace. But I think a lot of people just went into it thinking that, you know, they didn't have to do that, and they didn't, and they had to, and they could move a little bit slower, you know, save themselves for the strict handstand push-ups. But it was quite tough to get through that, to get through those first 2 rounds. And I think that caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, I mean,
because
yeah, I was going to say, just like even the first 2 rounds, I paced it like comically slow just to set myself up for the last round. But even those first 2 rounds, I still only finished in like 5:06, 5:05, something like that, just over 5 minutes.
For context, I finished it at 5:30, then took a 30 to 40 second break because I was a little bit gassed out. I wanted to save myself going to strict handstand push-ups because the shoulder fatigue for me was quite intense. And so I can imagine that if you haven't got a significant amount of shoulder capacity, that is something that's going to start to derail you, because it is wall walks into double unders, into snatches. It's not there's no rest in there. There's nowhere where you can, you know, chill out for a bit, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're...
Yeah. And then you saying you're resting also, when you take that rest, you're already eating into your next window.
Yeah.
So by the time you kick up, you've like lost a bit of time, and then you're really against the clock, because obviously the skills got harder, so you're really going to lose time. And then, yeah, it gets very difficult near the end to try to get under the cap on that next barbell. But yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, it was interesting. I was just surprised, as we like obviously spoke about when we did the just reaction to it. It was definitely like broken up into different sections depending on like your ability. Like obviously for some people, obviously like different tiers. Like for the 1 tier was to try get through just those first 2 rounds, like a big goal. Especially for like I feel like a lot of the members at our gym, if you did at RX, like a big goal was just to get through those first 2 rounds under the 6 minutes. That'd be a really good achievement. And then the next tier was, if you got through that, do you have handstand push-ups, but in like that strict capacity to get just through them? That would be even another tier. Then through that, then it's getting to the bar. Can you get one at the 80? And then the next tier would be, can you get through the 80? And then after that, it's can you then get through the strict handstand push-ups again? Then another tier, could you even get one at the 100? And then obviously the final tier would be, could you maybe get through the whole workout under the time cap? So it's weird how it was like staggered like that. And you saw that in the scores, the way it was tiered, because obviously dubs, the like reps rank up really quickly in terms of the time. So you just saw these like pockets on the leaderboards of where people got stuck at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think something to note for this year is that we've had a lot more access to data during the weekend. So you've had people who've been doing live exports of the leaderboard, so you kind of get an idea of where the top 10% might be. So I did this workout on Friday. I did it once. I wasn't sure. I went in with a pacing plan of, I think I did two handstand push-ups every 12 seconds, essentially. So I'd kick up every 12 seconds and knock out 2. And that would get me done in 2 minutes. So I took that 30 to 40 seconds rest, knew that I had just had 2 minutes. Like I got to like my 19th and 20th, ended up doing both of those singles, then went into the double unders, had about 30 seconds to hype myself up for the snatch, and I was just able to hit the snatch in the time. There was some hype. I rarely show emotion in the gym, but I was pretty ecstatic with that.
I heard.
Yeah, I tried to play it cool and do the Hosking double fist celebration, but there was too much emotion going on. So I think, but everyone had that part of the workout. If you were able to think logically about the workout and know where your capacity limitations are, you could go in with a target of like, okay, I know how to pace this, I know how to do it. But like I spoke to other people and we tried to stick to a particular rep scheme and a particular rep target, and they just weren't able to hold on to it to try and beat their score from previously. And that was the other thing that I think we saw, is that you and I both commented on this yesterday when we were texting, is that there's the amount of fatigue that built up in this workout was huge. And I don't think you've seen a lot of people redo it and get a significantly better score.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, yeah. So, yeah, well, I agree. It's interesting. It's like, yeah, so like the time at my gym, Alex and Matt both redid it. So they did it originally on Saturday, so they didn't do it on the Friday. So they did it on Saturday, so technically you do lose that day extra of the break between doing it Friday and then Monday. And they both like did decent. Alex got to the last bar, and Matt got 2 snatches at the 80 bar, which for both of them relatively is very good. And then they obviously wanted to redo it again on Monday. Matt was trying to get into a quarterfinal spot, so he just wanted to solidify. He was on the bubble, and then with that performance, I thought it was good enough anyway. But we just wanted to do it again just to make sure, like, if you got an extra rep, then you definitely solidify yourself in there. But for him, he got to the bar quicker the second time, but again, the fatigue just sets in. Unfortunately, in that time, he only got 1 less, but he had more time at the bar. And then for Alex, exactly the same result. Just got to the 100, just couldn't get 1. But yeah, it was interesting. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It was weird because I said to them leading into it, I said, if we could just get to the bar at the exact same time, and then they both had enough time, like just take an extra 10 to 15 seconds to really gather yourself. And then, because at that point, it's just execution and like proper focus. And if you get 1 in, then you can get momentum from that and build on from that. Because I know when Matt first did it, he got to the 80 bar and he missed, I think, his first 2 or 3, and then actually clutched up in the last 10 seconds. He hit 2. And that was actually really big looking back, considering he got 1
really big
the next time round. Yeah. And for Alex, he got to the last bar, I think around the same time as me. I think he got to the 100 with about 90 seconds left. He had about, I think, 5 attempts at it, but he just couldn't get 1. He got under it like 3-4 times, but just could never lock it out and stand it up. And it was just like pure execution. And then, yeah, when it came round to the redo, Alex, I think, was fatigued a bit because he got to the last bar a bit slower. But then Matt, yeah, I don't know. It was just an interesting workout. Just a lot of execution at the end.
Yeah, exactly the same thing happened to Jack at our gym when he redid on Monday morning. Like, he had like an extra 30-40 seconds, and it just like he got exactly the same score, which I guess is a good result, all things considered.
That's the thing we said also. Like, if you get the exact same score, maybe it just means you just executed the first time pretty well, and you're pretty much planned it well, executed well. It just is what it is. It's just your capacity. Like, you're not going to improve it from strategizing it much better. It's just getting fitter and then retesting it down the line. But yeah, should we get into the leaderboard then for the European and like UK scene?
Sure. Thankfully, the first person that we start with covers both of them, which is young Mr. Reggie Fasser. I say young, he's 28. He's number 1 in Europe, coming out of the Open. That has happened. Has he done that before? I feel like he's done that before.
He won
It was the lockdown year.
quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Because he got
That
loads
was
of
it.
hype going
That was
into
it.
the
Yeah.
online semi-finals.
That was it.
And I
Yeah.
think it was the year when the UK fans actually bullied Brian Friend into putting him like seed 5 or something on his predictions list.
Yeah.
I think Reggie had the best showing. Well, I didn't get. I think he got
That first workout, he got
video review,
penalised on
wasn't it?
pistols. Yeah. It was pistols that he was getting done
and I just took him out the running pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
From what I remember. But yeah, I don't know if he's won like the Open in Europe before.
No. It was quarterfinals. I was misremembering. He did really well at. But then scrolling through, Anyola Kai coming in second. That's pretty big for him. He's had a decent showing in the off season. Did a couple of comps. Looked fairly good in some of them, and looked, to be frank, like fairly average in some of the others. So he didn't look great at Wodapalooza. But looked, if I remember correctly, I think he did Dubai as well, and he did okay there. Alex Catoulis in third.
Is that your pick?
Called it. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We'll get to my pick. Because we probably won't even get to him. He's so far down, 29th. But he literally beat Alex Catoulis in every workout apart from the thruster. He did so poorly in terms of points that he dropped down so far. Because if you look at Alex Catoulis, he went 30 seconds, 180 seconds, and 103rd on 23.1, 23.2A, and 23.3. And Yokoski absolutely smashed him and went 11th, 27th, and 36th on those three. But then on 22.B, Yokoski came 2,530 seconds, and Alex Catoulis came 606. So that gap there was like almost 2,000 spots.
Something that. Oh, sorry, man. Carry on.
Well, I wouldn't say anything. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I think there's a little bit of lag there. I think we sort of preempted there something that is a little bit of an enigma about this Open, in that you have that that part B for 23.2 that is just a max lift, and it completely distorts the scores completely. Like, you look at as an example, like you look at the total number of points that it took to win the Open last year, and it's significantly more this year than it was last year, because there's so much more spread, because you've got people who are able to throw up a really good thruster, doing really good, well in one workout, and completely distorting the leaderboard for everyone else. And I think you can potentially make an argument for 23.2A as well, where you had a lot of bottlenecks. Causing that as well.
Well, and like, to further that point, we said in the preview of the Open, is like, well, Mal's obviously going to win worldwide, and she'll probably literally come. Well, I was thinking she would come like top 3, and if they're all just like normal Metcons, and like it just proved that point about the thruster. She literally went second in 23.1, first in 23.2A, and in 23.3 she came 6th. But in 23.2B she came 107th in the thruster. So in the quote unquote Metcons / workouts, she came 2nd, 1st, 6th, and then in the heavy lift thruster, she came 107th. So that just emphasizes Ben's point that the thruster really does, just has a 1 rep max. Well, just a strength test in a 3-week competition. Especially, it also depends on the field size. Obviously, this is the Open, so it's literally a global field size. It's the biggest one you have in the CrossFit ecosystem. And when you have a test like that, that really throws a wrench into the overall standings of the leaderboard. Obviously, it's far, when it's a smaller field, like at the games, with 40 people, it's not that detrimental. But yeah, in this setting, it's huge. It's just funny just the way how the points shake out.
Yeah, and I think you can make an argument that if you take out I'd like to see, and I'm sure somebody has the capability of doing it somewhere, an Open leaderboard that is just 23.1, 23.2A, and 23.3. Because I think we can probably make the argument that 23.3 tests strength enough that it's sufficient as a test of the strength in itself. 23.2 is a really strong capacity workout. There are obviously separate issues around that with pull-up bar height, before I send you off again on your soapbox talking about
No, we'll get Josh Bennison onto that actually.
The giraffe. Yeah, let's bring the giraffe on to talk about that.
Well, actually, before we go with that, we'll big him up because he was salty that apparently I was being too harsh about him last week. So we'll skip ahead to a good performance for Josh Bernison on this past week's open workout. I think he got, I can't remember what it was, 2 or 3 snatches at the 80 bar, or was it 4 or 5? Something like that.
3.
2 to 5, 3. But that was really good. Like for him, he was pretty happy with that. I'm pretty impressed because I know that when the strict hands and push-up standard came out, I was like, that could be pretty tough. So for him to get through 20 and then also get 3 snatches under that fatigue at that weight, that's pretty high up for his percentage work as well. That's really good. So he was gassed. We're having a little debrief on his phone call, as we usually do on a Friday evening. But yeah, he was fuming 2 weeks ago. But this week he was much more cheerful. But so Josh.
And I think that sort of points to the contradictions. So you could change the pull-up bar height depending on how tall you were. The line was 30 inches.
Yeah. And like, if you're a 30-inch line, you're small, and got like a small, like that's just, I can't remember who it was. Someone was saying, one of the podcasts maybe, might be the Training Think Tank one. I think it was from one of the coaches, I think Perrin, one of the coaches there. She's very small and small arms. And then for her literally hands and push-ups are literally like, she's probably moving ahead about 3 inches up and down. And that just because of the way it was set up. And then you compare it to someone who's got like a long wingspan, like a 6 foot plus guy. It's just a completely different workout in that sense. But that is CrossFit though. That is what it is. That's like for most movements.
And I think that's my frustration with it is that you have this contradiction between, well, your height plays a difference in how we affect things for 23.2A, but it doesn't play a difference in how we do things 23.3.
And well, that was my
yeah, exactly. And like my favorite example of this is if you look at the Chaos workout in 2017, where they're doing burpees to
2018. But I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you.
Give myself 25 lashings now. Sorry, Mr. Hosking. I'll never let you down again. But I will. So that workout, you've got Matt Fraser working out next to Brent Fikowski. Now, Matt Fraser's official height is 5'6", 5'7". No, or does he claim 5'8"? But I think he's 5'5". Let's be honest. He's not a big guy. And you got Brent Fikowski who's 6'2", and so like it's burpee to a touch. All Fikowski has to do is just tap just above his head, whereas Fraser's jumping up and hitting it. But their burpee cadence is the same. They're moving at the same speed. And it shows that, okay, regardless of what the standard is, people can move at those speeds. So, I mean, I'll make the argument that they should probably have said that you have to have a fixed height on the pull-up bar. That workout looks incredibly different.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about a solution to it, but it's hard because then how can you force that? Because if gyms all around the world have different pull-up bar heights, how can you force some like to change it if they have that exact set standard? So I don't know,
it's a minimum height.
Yeah, so you can set it to like a minimum height instead of.
And like I mean, if I'm honest,
target, and then gyms can work around that if they're bothered or not. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Or what you do is you speak to Rogue and you say, right, what's probably the average height that you send out a pull-up bar on? Because Rogue compared to other equipment suppliers have a lot more options. Like, I think if you saw Proven's video, they could literally move it up and down by like a centimeter, if that. Whereas for us at our gym, like it's a little bit more of a bigger jump. You know, you're talking about a couple of inches every time. So,
I mean, like the easiest solution that people point out is you could just use mats underneath a pull-up bar. But we spoke about this over text, is that it doesn't really work the same just because it's just more of this performance side. Jumping off a mat and landing on a mat tires your legs out way more, just stabilizing. And if you don't believe me, go watch Training Think Tank's demo video. One of the guys used mats and his quads literally started cramping, and they put it down to, and I would also agree with it, that just when you're doing 100 plus burpees on soft padding, and it's like jumping up and onto sand or whatever, it just takes way more balance, way more energy. So it is an option to reduce that height, but it's just, it doesn't quite work. And then you need mats that are actually going to fit your body right, because if you have to stack 10 mats, like, 7-8 inches in the air, but then you're doing a burpee onto the mat, your feet dangling off the mat, it just looks stupid. So I don't think the mat option works that well. So it's tough. It's just, like, you could do, another option was to put a plate underneath, but then you're burping and your face is going to smack into your plate. Then you've got to step and jump onto a plate and then jump up. And then that concentration is taken away from just the effort of churning out burpees. And again, that does add up, even if it's like a second here and there. It makes a difference. So I don't know. I'm still trying to think of like a good solution. But yeah, the best one would be a set-ish height. But then again, some gyms will still be screwed over by that. So it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
Still good movement, but just in like that competition setting, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like a smaller field size would be fine if it was just a set bar height, and yeah, if it was, and maybe if it was higher, the smaller guys would have to start doing kipping because they'd have to jump. Their jump wouldn't be like the force of the jump into the bar wouldn't be strong enough to then keep the momentum to pull. They'd have to jump, catch it, then swing. Like imagine Colton Mertens having to jump to, I don't know, a really high bar. He wouldn't be able to, with that momentum, you know what I mean? He wouldn't, like a strict might get difficult over a lot of reps. He would jump, then go into a kip.
I don't know. He's still got very short arms. I'm sure the
isn't for the normal person.
Hard.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. It's tough, but yeah, it is what it is. Keep talking about that workout.
No, because I think it sort of feeds into something that we wanted to talk about anyway, which is how we think this open was as a set of tests, because they're no longer workouts; they are now tests. And how did you think they stacked up? Are you happy? And obviously, I'll caveat this by, I think it is very difficult for us to take a view on these tests without seeing what is essentially the complete test. Because this is just, for want of a better, it's part A, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't like that. I don't like that argument because the points were set anyway as well. So how can you say this is part of a complete test when literally there's actually no carryover to the next part of the test?
Well, there is carryover. Like you make it through to the next test.
Yeah, but then it resets. So I wouldn't say this is like, how can you say it's complete? Because if you don't get any of these type of workouts again, none of that was part of the next stage. So I'll use myself as an example. I did all right in the open, but what if those tests were, like, if they weren't there, then the leaderboard looks different. And then do you say it's not part of a complete test or still a complete test? If that makes sense? I don't know. I just don't like that when people use that phrase. I understand that if like at the games and you're 2 days in and then it's still 2 or 3 days to go and you're like, we haven't seen a complete test yet and the leaderboard isn't like finalized. But I feel like in this situation, he's had a year to make these workouts. This is the complete test of what he thinks the open should be like. That's just my view.
But I think the danger you then have is, and this is something we spoke about probably in the first week, is where the open last year was all about bounding, right? It had a theme, it had and that kind of thing. I mean, let's be honest, this open had a theme. It was pressing, it was some type of pressing. So that first workout, you had the ring muscle up, where the press was probably the limiting factor for the majority of the individuals. And like, I'll be totally honest, this is something I'm just repeating from what Brian Friend, a very good CrossFit analyst, has said. Part B, the burpee, theoretically was a press as well as the thruster was also a press. And then you can make the argument that for the final one, the strict handstand push-up was the limiting factor and the shoulder pressing was a limiting factor. So if this is how we're doing it, and every year you're just testing something slightly different and you're testing a different facet of fitness, but just making sure that you're doing overall CrossFit to get better at it, then I think it's difficult for us to try and get a complete test within the open because you only have 3 or 4 scored events, really.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll never get a complete test. As in, like, I don't agree with your statement saying we need to wait for other workouts down the line to see a complete test. But I wouldn't then also say the open in it of itself is a complete test. I'd say when I say complete test, I just mean as in like the open's done now, so that testing body is the complete test, not that the workouts in itself made a complete test. If that makes sense, like, because we can get into it, and like there was no real short time domain workout. Unless you didn't get through the first 6 minutes, for most people, there was nothing sub 5 minutes. I don't know if you watch Andrew Hiller's video. There was nothing like that classic, the CrossFit pain type thresholdy workout. Like, there was no 21, 18, 15, 9, whatever of thrusters and rowing or bar facing burpees and thrusts. Just nothing like short and painful, which is fine. It doesn't always have to be like that. And it depends how they want to go through what they want to test. Because as we know, Boz loves gymnastics, and this workout showed that every test had gymnastics, and that was usually the defining bit of most of them. I feel like this open actually literally showed Boz's favorite things. High skill gymnastics being tested, and then the middle bit, he loves people who can basically show pure capacity and a lift. Those his two main themes, and they were pretty much the main focus points of this open. So if that carries on, then it'd be interesting to see what other tests come out if that's his go-to theme.
If I'm honest, and if we can sit here and point out the holes in the testing body that we've had so far, and we are now getting closer to quarterfinals, and we would hazard a guess as to what quarterfinals is going to be, I'm a little bit scared, because I think it's really, really going to hurt. Because if we haven't hurt yet, then that means that pain, like those types of workouts that leave you on your back gasping for air, are coming, and that's a little bit terrifying. But we'll look forward to that next week in our quarterfinals preview.
Yeah, I was speaking to the guy. It could either go well. I think it'd be a bit of both. I think we could see some painful things, but also if the skill's going to get harder, we might see some extra, jazzed up gymnastic tests. Nothing too crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised if he chucked out wall-facing handstand push-ups, or some other jump rope thing, or maybe something else on your hands, or on the bar. They kept teasing pullovers. No one took it seriously, and it didn't come up in the open. But you never know. That could have just been a wink for quarters. Who knows?
Or ring dips, or something similar to that. Again.
Or ring dips, yeah. Like you do the muscle up into your ring dip, and just do dips from your rings.
Yeah.
Like that. Would not be too surprised. But yeah, let's keep going. We literally that's a massive 20-minute derail, but we'll keep going down the European leaderboard. So we'll get us back on track. So in fourth place, we had Andre Houdet,
who's obviously he's going team this year. We've got Lucas Heutzer in fifth out of France. Aldis Upeniks in sixth. Aldis is only 25. That's like, the dude's been around for ages. That really surprises me. Willie George in seventh. Luka Dukic coming out on top in the battle of the Dukic brothers in eighth. Anastis Artemis in Greece. And Sam Parkin out of the UK in 10th. And a little shout out to Joshua Sharma in 11th as well.
Yeah, and then BKG in 12th. And again, the thruster was just the BKG's downfall from another very high finish on the European leaderboard, because again, he put up very, very solid times in the other three workouts, and the thruster just held him back a bit. But yeah, any other surprises? Just scrolling down the leaderboard, not too much. Sam Stewart quite well, 21.
He's a relatively good, like, if you remember his semi-finals performance last year, his best workout in that semi was the one that ended with strict handstand push-ups. I can't remember. All I remember is him getting to the handstand push-ups and then collapsing on the ground. But that was his best workout at the semi-finals. So I think that's a strong.
Did he get to the games through
online?
Was he go to 20? Yeah, I was going to say 2021 games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then he's been a bit injured though, hasn't he? So
yes, I think he's had a couple of shoulder issues.
Back from it, like a shoulder injury. Yeah, and then he's doing team, isn't he?
He's at CrossFit Walleye with Phil Hesketh's Mia Hesketh's prepared program, and Joshua Vishtrup as well. So that looks like a very good team, in all honesty.
Yeah. So he beat out the reigning Dubai Fitness Championship, Fabian Benito.
Yeah, in 22nd.
Yeah, Dave Shronky, 23rd. That's pretty good.
Yeah, really. Yeah, strong performance from David. Obviously, he's coming back off a knee operation as well. So good to see him putting up some fairly strong scores. Obviously, the middle 2 weeks, not great for him. I think he'd probably be the first to say that he's not ever going to be seen like sort of near the top of the leaderboard for a lifting event. And obviously, being a taller and bigger athlete, he was always going to struggle with 2A. But did really well on 23.1 and really well on 23.3 as well. Getting bang on 11 minutes, which I think is the same score that Reggie got as well. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think Reggie got 11, didn't
he? Yeah.
31st, Dan Tai up in the UK, 31st in Europe, so that's pretty solid. Anyone else that stands out in that
From
top?
the UK, Zach George is 48th and Harrison Bell in 50th as well. Obviously, both of those guys going team. I think Dan Ty might be going team as well. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so out of the, what are we talking about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 UK athletes in the top 50 in Europe. 4 of them are going team, which is quite interesting. And that is
actually one name. Sorry, you go.
No, it's cool. You go ahead.
I'm going to butcher his name, but in 37th, how do you pronounce that? Is it Tug?
Tig Lawless.
Yeah. His I've never don't know him, but the numbers he's put up in this Open specifically have been really impressive. And I think he's quite young, isn't he?
He's 22.
Yeah, very young, and his numbers are pretty crazy. So I'll be interested to see if he can. I don't know if he's team or individual, but if he's individual, no reason you can't push on for. I don't even know he's been to semis before.
He went to the games as a teenager. Came 14th there in 2018, and then has just been slowly sort of trying to work his way up, I think, to get to be an individual and compete there.
Yeah. But, yeah, I've just seen his account on Instagram, to be honest, and it just looked quite good. And then his scores seem to actually back up. That's quite a rarity in these days. Someone's scores actually backing up how good they look on Instagram.
Want to reference anyone else there? No? Okay, we'll move on.
No, that's an impressive thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to him.
Yeah, I think
where's Lazar? Lazar finished a bit down, 39th. So probably not his best finish he wanted, but maybe he's just taking the Open easy, getting ready for quarters and obviously semis. I think he'll qualify for semis pretty comfortably, and then hopefully punch his ticket back to the games.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'd sort of highlight about this sort of top 50 on the men's side is that if you look at the average age, like we haven't got that many young guys like sort of coming through. I don't know whether that's more to do with the fact that because it was a higher skill Open, it favoured athletes who'd been doing the sport for a little bit longer. That's like, and because it favoured athletes who were stronger, it favoured people who'd been in the sport for a little bit longer as well, who'd been doing it. But it's interesting to sort of see that we definitely see that on the women's side, where I'd probably say it's a lot easier for younger women to come into the sport and perform quite well, because strength, as an example, elite level strength in women isn't as prevalent as it is in the men. I think I'm pretty safe into sort of making that as a statement. I don't know if you agree or not.
Yeah, sorry, my dogs are scratching the door. This is live recording, but I have to open the door for them. So give me 2 secs.
Because we've got a lot of guys who are sort of north of 28, 29, 30, and we're not necessarily seeing, the 20-year-olds. There's a couple of 20-year-olds. Stefano Zucciatti out of Italy, Factory CrossFit, is 20. Victor Hoffer is one I'll probably call out as well. Who I think we've already referenced on the show. I think he's 19 or 20 as well. And then you've obviously got people like Luka Dukic who are sitting around 24. But that's those are the outliers. Everyone else is sort of 29, 27, 28, 29. And if you make the comparison with like football or something, which is you expect players to sort of reach their peak around that time, I think that's probably what we're seeing more here. And the peak for women might vary a little bit more. But I'll do some digging on that and come back to you with some facts and figures as we sort of progress through the season as well.
I missed the start of whatever little tangent you went down when I was opening the door. So I just came back to you talking about their ages or something.
Yeah. That's basically what it was. Just talking about different ages. Should we switch over to the women's side on the European?
Yeah.
So don't worry, I'll take pronunciation duties for this one. Elena Caratala Sanahoya coming in first.
All right.
Absolutely. Elisa Filiano in second. So she obviously made the games last year. I think she was a bit of a surprise to make the games coming out of Sid. She sort of took that 5th spot that I think everyone kind of expected Katrin to take. So she's done really, really well together. I think she come 4th, actually. That's Sid. No, she came 5th. My memory was right. Gabby Magala in 3rd. Manon Anganese pushing for her first games appearance as well in 4th. Emma McQuaid, she's always up there, sitting there in 5th. But the thruster being her best score.
That is confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that unless she's just had a very...
That's surprising.
She's just coming off a very big off-season, I'd kind of assume. Hannah Moyer sitting in 6th, Claudia Gluck in 7th, Jacqueline Dahlstrom in 8th, Solveig Sigurdardottir in 9th, and Ella Vunga in 10th. So a couple of the program girls in 8th and 10th, and the former program girl in 9th as well, because Solveig has moved to CrossFit Reykjavik to work under Yami at the training plan as well.
Nice. We got Amy Kringle in 14th. That's a good effort from her. We've got Annie Throst also in 16th.
I'd probably say Annie's...
Collins, 18th.
Yeah, Annie's probably a fairly similar score to the others, where that the lift really pulled her down. It was 642nd. So she got 642 points for that out of a total of 850 points. So that's pulled her down massively.
801 in that snatch one. That is impressive.
I watched that. That was madness. She was absolutely pushing the pace there. Obviously, there are a lot faster really scores, but really, really good.
Helen Collins in 18th, and then we had Taylor Howell in 20th. That's good as well. Gosh, the English ladies are representing up in the just the English, the UK
British.
ladies are British are representing up in Europe.
Yeah.
Sorry, people, it's late. It's 10 o'clock again. I do apologise.
Then my pick to win the Open on the European side, Mathilda Gans. I've got no excuse for that. She's 789th in the lift, so just sort of confirming what we were talking about earlier. Loz Storwood out the UK in 38th. Helen Nutter in 40th out of Blueprint CrossFit. Obviously, we referenced her thruster last week. She's able to back that up with a strong performance in the snatch workout as well. Mads Harris in 41st. Both of those athletes going team. So Helen Nutter going with Blueprint, I think, and Mads Harris going with CrossFit Aylesbury. And that rounds out the British representation in the top 50. Aoife Burke will reference in, because obviously she trains at CrossFit Shapesmiths, is Irish as well. So strong performance from her.
Yeah, should we go on to the UK leaderboard then?
Yes.
Do that?
Yeah, all right. We'll
just
go.
Stay on the women?
Yes.
Or go back to the men? Up to you, stay on the women?
Yeah, we'll stay on the women.
Keep it easy. Number 1, Amy Kringle. I mean, if you listen to our first show, that was our pick. It was between her or Lucy. Obviously, Lucy is out of an injury this season, so not too surprising to see Amy take the win. But to be fair, it wasn't easy. You had Helen Collins not too far behind. Did very well as well. Interesting. They literally were match for match on the thruster. So would have come down. Looks like the first workout, and to be fair, it was the second workout. 23.2 A was their separator between Amy and Helena, and only 6 shuttles. Which, I mean, to be fair, 6 shuttles is, I don't know, about a good 30 plus at the end of that workout, I suppose, when you're running fast. More 35 seconds. But still, not much separating them.
No.
And obviously, Taylor Howe in 3rd. Again, very solid.
I think I'll highlight that I probably expected her to lift a little bit more on that thruster.
I was
side.
thinking that just seeing a number. I mean, it's still really strong. 190 pounds.
Yeah,
is really impressive. But I thought also maybe a touch more. But you never know. She might have gone for a heavier one and just missed at the end. I think a lot of people, I know myself, went for something another. Well, it depends what the jump was, but 5 to 10 more and I think you either got it or you didn't, and just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
So she probably has more in her. She just might have missed the last one. You don't know.
Or I know she had a knee issue prior to Dubai, so that might. I don't want to speculate, but potentially that might have flared back up as well. But then
but she did very well on that last one, 9:32.
Yeah,
really strong. That's crazy. There. Gosh, I was only getting through I wasn't even done through the handstand push-ups at 9:32 on that last round.
And my workout was definitely done at 9:32.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, so we've already...
in fourth we had... Oh, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've already referenced Lauren Stallwood, Helen Nutter and Mads Harris. Georgia Davenport in seventh. I think CrossFit Rotherham are putting team together, so I think she'll be going team. Jennifer Moore in eighth as well. It's a pretty solid performance. Evie Hollis in ninth out of CrossFit Yaz. And Janie Garrett came in 10th for the women overall in the UK.
Yeah, and to be fair, based off last year, these ladies, I'll definitely keep an eye out for them, because obviously a few of them are going team, and then the rest definitely probably have a good chance of qualifying for individual semis, just based off the representation we had last year. Quite a few of the top 10 got in to semis. So, yeah, keep a lookout for these ladies. Anyone else? That's Georgia Smith Ball in 13th. That's quite a good finish.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, and then Justine Kasheva, I'm going to go with, in 15th at 21. That's a really strong performance for somebody that early on, I would say. So that's interesting to sort of see how she's going to develop going forward. Because I saw a stat, I think CrossFit Surbiton, we referenced, I keep thinking that we released that episode. We never released that episode, talking about Sid and how great motion CrossFit Surbiton were there. And they carried that through. I think they had 28 athletes qualify for quarterfinals individually. And 3 or 4 teams, I think, as well. Let me just double check that. But that is...
Well, while you do that, I'll keep going down the leaderboard.
Yeah.
We had one surprise, Hannah Phipson in 30th. For those who listened, I think last week, she also made it to semis as an individual last year. So a bit surprised at her lowish finish, I suppose, overall in the UK. But you never know. Again, she might be taking the open, quote unquote, easy and just getting ready for quarters. And she might put up a big performance there. But that was interesting that she's only in 30th. Anyone else in that top 50? That's surprising. Well, Sam Briggs still repping strong, 42nd. But I mean, how old is Sam Briggs now? She's in her 40s, isn't she?
Yeah. So,
yeah, very impressive. Still going very strong. Just looking at scores. I mean, when she started, when she got 6th, 2.58 in the first one. That's ridiculous. That is so good. And then again, even for Sam Briggs, it was a lift that really cost her £156. I think that's the lowest lift in the whole top 50. I think looking at the boards with a quick scan. Yeah.
Sorry, it was
scrolling up. It was some lady called, is it Charlie Dickinson? £201 on the thruster. That's big.
Very big indeed.
Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, I think Motion only got 2 teams through. So I take it back. Sorry for overestimating. But yeah, I think it's a strong collection, and I think something you always see with quarterfinals is, I say always, we've only had it for 2 years, but the type of tests that we see do tend to impact things a lot more, to be being entirely honest. So I think it is going to be very interesting to see what type of tests we get through as well.
Yeah. Right. Should we go on to the UK men?
Yeah. I think we've already referenced the top 7. So obviously we referenced them because they were in the top 50 in Europe. So Reggie, Sam, Joshua Sharma, David Shrunky, Dan Tai, Zach George, Harrison Bell. Then it's James Stroderick in 8th. James St. Ledger in 9th at the ripe old age of 39. I think he went to regionals back in the day in 2018. So that's big from him. Last year's Open winner, Connor Pennington, getting 2 snatches in the final on the final bar in 23.3 with a tiebreak of 6:15.
6:15.
6:15. I want to see that video.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's mad.
And he only got. Well, either he just accepted he didn't have. Well, saying he doesn't have the strength, he's still got. How many snatches did he get? 2. So, I don't think he has it. Maybe he just didn't expect to get that many anyway. So he just thought, I'll just get best tiebreak time possible.
Yeah.
Maybe get 1 snatch at the 100, and then a bonus. Maybe the 2 is like a bonus for him. Maybe he just thought, I'll just get 1, I'll be happy. And then he got the other one. But yeah, that is quite crazy because he probably would have, unless he just blew up as well. You never know. He might have on the second round of the 20 strict. He might have started feeling it as well. So who knows? But yeah, that's a ridiculous tiebreak time to then not actually finish the workout.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 11th we had Thomas Wilson, 12th we had Stephen Fawcett.
Making a Masters push this year, maybe?
What, Steve?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, most definitely.
Go against Froning.
Yeah,
Froning does it.
Indeed.
If I was listening to the Savon podcast earlier, and Froning just so and ah, he doesn't even know if he's doing it or not yet. He was tempted not even to do the second workout of this Open. He said he left it till Monday.
Seriously?
And he only really did it because Guy and one of the other guys were redoing it. He said, I'll just jump in and do it with them.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know. He doesn't know if he's going to do it. He's going to keep doing, like, he says he still trains as much as he was when he was, like, quote unquote competing.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't know if he's going to actually compete at the games in the Masters just because, he's saying more to with his family. Apparently that summertime is like his holiday time for his kids and he doesn't know if he wants to sacrifice that this year for it. So, don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Blasé about it.
Yeah.
We had Tom Kingdon in 16th. He's a young lad. He's in like 21.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, between 16th, 17th, 18th, you've got Tom Kingdon, Taz Nadeem, and Toby Buckland, who are 21, 23, and 24, respectively.
Yeah, so.
Who are all.
There you go. There's some young guys you were asking for back in week 1. Where are the young people? I mean, still not in the top 10, but we're climbing up.
The Open doesn't matter, though, does it? Maybe they're saving it for quarters.
Maybe. Anyone else down there we had?
Wow. So Taz is sort of known as like a big lifter. So he got £267 on that one, and that was his. He did significantly better on the first 2, so he might have sent it on those first 2. That's really good going for him.
Here we go. We got Jamie Lowry, 24th. Yeah,
teammate Owen Robson, 26th as well.
26th.
So excited to
see what they boy wedged in between them.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's nobody in 25th that we need to talk about. It's young Matthew Hosking, also 24. So you know,
I should put I don't have a profile pic on it. Maybe I should put it as the podcast logo.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Nice if you did some promo for us.
Some of the gym, I've been told that because obviously I just eat a lot of tuna at lunch and then a lot of mince for dinner. So they're saying just going to Photoshop like some weird tuna, copy and pasted on top of some mince, just put that as a profile picture.
Oh, that'd be very elite. Very elite.
But yeah, not too. So
like talking about sort of surprises, we'll go with Harry Lightfoot is down in 37th. He did very well on week 1, so he got 6. He got back to the toaster bar. If we can all take our minds back to what that workout was, and finished the final workout in 10:37, and then got 150 reps on the burpee pull-ups in 23.2A, and had a fairly decent lift, 293 pounds. That put him 426. So the burpee pull-up one just completely, and this is a thing, and this is where we sort of touch on what we were saying earlier about how it's a little bit frustrating when we don't know what the limiter is there for people. Like, is it the fact that they weren't able to change the bar height to one that worked for them, or if it was limitation in like their gym setup, as an example? It's something that you referenced as well.
Yeah, well, he got 9,207th in that workout with 150, and someone who got 157 is 3,500. So he's literally lost 5,500 spots pretty much from 7 burpees short of someone else.
Yeah, that's mad. Absolutely mad.
Or, well, 5 burpees and 2 shuttles, whatever it was. But yeah, not a lot, and that's a massive drop off. But I think we spoke about that, how I think at quarters, was it last year? I think it was the shuttle run wall ball rope climb one's the one that cost him quite badly. And like I think he had a good chance of getting to semis if he did well in that workout. And I think that one didn't go great, and that's what really threw him down the leaderboard in terms of overall points. So maybe shuttle runs are just maybe the shuttle runs compounded with the burpee pull-up standard. But if he's training at, doesn't he train at AOD's gym, like their home-based gym?
Not sure.
Like Blueprint or something.
No, he did all the open workouts across at Kerner.
Oh, okay. I think, isn't he an AOD athlete, though?
He could be.
I swear he is. But anyway, I was just thinking, because if he was doing it at their gym, I feel like they would be a type of gym that would adjust the pull-up bars to make every advantage. But then we got other surprise, like Tom Watson down 39th. Quite surprising, because he took 3rd at Euro Champs back in August.
Yeah, but he's another one where you look at that thruster weight, and that's pulled that's 80% of his overall score, which is huge. One I
have to go back and see what the Euro leaderboard was on that clean ladder then, because if his thruster's only 245, but then he still came 3rd at Euros, so he must have done half all right at the clean ladder.
Yeah. The one I would like to call out is Oleg Lysenko. So 11,969 total points. 11,383 of those coming from the thruster. He came 62nd. I think this is worldwide. He got 17 toes to bar in the first workout. He got 6 rounds plus 15 burpee pull-ups, so that's in the round of 35. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry, I sort of zoned out, not gonna lie. So what are you talking about?
No, you know what? We won't give Oleg the time of day. It's all good. I was just saying that Oleg did well. All right.
I know. I heard that bit. I got up to the bit that it was a thruster that basically just destroyed his overall ranking.
Yeah. And he did very well in the burpee pull-up one. We got 180 reps there.
Yeah, that's good.
And then he finished the final workout in 11:40 as well, so that's really good for him. But yeah, it was just the thruster that pulled him down. But yeah, that's probably all I wanted to highlight on the men's side. Should we dive into and see which teams made quarterfinals?
Yep, go for it.
So to give a sort of overview of how the team side of things work. So the top 25% of teams that register get to go through to quarterfinals. For us, in Europe, that happens to be 69 total teams. That then means that 40 teams get through to semi-finals. So if you make it through to quarterfinals, you have a fairly strong chance of then making it through to semi-finals. Particularly when we look at the, if we have a look at some of the athletes that have been put onto rosters. So if you take a look at who's in first, CrossFit Zara Uts Training Cult, who are using Fabian Benito, Anya Lakai, and Oyhana Moya as their, who are all we've already spoken about, as they're all sort of top 10 in Europe, and we would assume they're going individually. So you get people like that who utilize their scores to help solidify they can get through to quarterfinals. So yeah, that's a little bit. So obviously you needed to make it through in the top 69. So I haven't actually had a chance to look through this. So let's see who from the UK made it through. So Crooked Lake CrossFit, EST 28, made it through in 5th. Mickey Smith and Emma McQuaid both on that roster. Scrolling down to 11th, CrossFit Rotherham made it through as well. Moritz Neumann, Dan Tai, Taz Nadeem on there as well, with Saf Goddard and Georgia Davenport. Looks like a fairly strong team. CrossFit Aylesbury coming in 16th. So that's Jamie Lowry, Matt Harris, Charlotte Spence, and I think Owen Roberts is going to be their fourth, their second guy. And there are an awful lot of Danish teams, and now we come up Surbiton Motion, so that's Tom Watson, Harrison Bell, Grace Lilly, and Karis Webster. Blueprint, CrossFit Team AOD, who've made it to the games before and were in position to make the games last year, but unfortunately didn't make it through due to injury. CrossFit Bladen in 33rd have made it through. CrossFit BFG Team Training made it through in 34th. A365 CrossFit Shoreditch have made it through as well. They've got a UK flag. CrossFit 13, the Training Design, have made it through as well. They had a decent showing at SID this year, so nice they've been able to carry that through to a team for the through to quarterfinals as well. And let's have a look. CrossFit Witham always have some of the top number of participants in the Open from the UK. So really good to see them put a team in as well. They landed 56th. Daneham CrossFit in 58th. Surbiton putting in their second team. CrossFit Surbiton Motion Colony making it through in 60th. And two more teams, CrossFit St Andrews making it through, and Wesley's CrossFit Shire Fit making it through in 67th. Couple of teams just missing out from the UK as well, but the majority, like obviously the top 40 go through, and with team members changing around and stuff, like it'll be interesting to see how many teams we actually get headed to Berlin for semi-finals. And obviously team quarterfinals are a couple of weeks after, and really helpfully I think they get released on a Wednesday, and so you have two windows to do it, Wednesday till Thursday and Thursday till Friday. So that's very accessible, isn't it?
Oh dear, it wouldn't be CrossFit if it wasn't. If it was easy, really, would it?
I love their assumption.
I
love their assumption that all the team athletes are professionals and can just fit in fight. I think
we are all professionals.
Believe me,
people just yeah. That's the thing. It's literally just, as we say, we joke about it, but it is kind of true. They just set it up for America and for like literally the top 10 people, and it's just like, there you go. Everyone else, good luck. It's true though. It's like
10-21. Matthew Hosking has become salty.
No, but it's just true. But it's funny. Yeah. But it's like I feel. But at the same time, like it's a sport at the end of the day, so you can't expect all the rules to bend over backwards to suit your personal needs. Like there's people who complain about the when it comes to quarters about the timing windows, and like the people who like do shift work and things. It's like, well, I mean, like, I'm sorry, but it's a sport, and we've got to like get like the top people to the next stage somehow. I'm sorry, it doesn't fit into your schedule that you're going to come like, you know, I don't know, whatever, like 1,000th or something. And it's just like,
can you stop? Can you stop revealing the private conversations that we have, please?
What? That's not aimed at anyone.
No, I don't know. I know. I'm saying it might be aimed at me, and I'm just like it's definitely something that I would consider. Yeah, it's definitely something I would consider saying.
But take it back if you thought it was aimed at you.
No, I'm definitely not coming 1,000th as well.
Fighting talk.
Yeah, no, because I qualified in 5,000. So if I come 1,000, okay. I'm going to be really impressed with how I've done.
Whoops. But yeah, so that's the pretty much the gist of the leaderboards in the Europe and UK scene. I mean, we touched on a bit of it for a few. We got a bit derailed and talked about the overall test. But you've got any other thoughts just about the last few weeks? Anything about the workouts, or just anything in general, really? Anything about what went on?
I think I'm sort of, and I know you don't like this, but I'm excited to see CrossFit programming the whole thing. And we're not having different people doing different things across different weeks, and it be a little bit more complex. That's what I'm really excited to see going forward. I think it's and I think now, to be honest, now that the Open's over, we've just seen Sid released their UK Champs registration. Is going live this Friday. I'm excited to see that more than anything, because I think that's going to be a really good local competition. Sid's always incredibly well run. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see what else happens on the UK scene this year. So I'm looking forward to us sitting down, mapping that out in a calendar, and sort of perhaps making some suggestions to people for if they want to, if they've enjoyed the Open and they want to scratch that competitive itch, that we can point them in the right direction for competitions that work for them, and try and tier it so that, relevant to your level. Here's a competition that we probably suggest that you do.
Saying that, yeah, well, there's a few coming up that are before UK Champs. So there's a pairs competition, Battle for Middle Ground. I believe it's called March-ish Mayhem because it's actually in April. I don't know if there were qualifiers for like the RX / like the elite fields, but I think there's still automatic sign-ups for a few spots left in I think it's like the intermediate. It's a pairs competition, so if you're interested in that type of stuff, we'll look into it, get a buddy, go throw down. And then there's also Battle for Middle Ground running the individual event, which is in June, late June, called Ragnarok. And again, that's got all divisions for all abilities. There's qualifiers for there might be qualifiers actually for the like intermediate level as well. Not 100% sure, but there might be. And again, the sign-ups for that obviously haven't closed because the qualifiers are only in April. So we're looking to that. It's a good event. What else is there in the short term up until that point? There's Turf. If you're not, I think the sign-up's probably done for that. That's in July, just before UK Champs. And anything else? I mean, there's probably like, smaller events dotted around everywhere, really. There's always like little throwdowns.
Yeah, like what I tend to find quite useful is just going on something like Competition Corner or Team Oratus. Are there any others? And just searching through those. Like they've got dates that you can filter by and types of competition you can filter by as well, which is always quite useful. So if you want to sort of peak for something on a particular, so you want to give yourself like a summer target to make sure that you can stay committed to something over the next couple of months, then probably have a look at that and get some planning in.